A toll is not a toll. A toll can be a service fee. But it's not like a blanket toll, but at least it would make the Iranians save face.
Andy, please tell me the war is over.
You know what? The war is on yet another pause. I'm sure
Oh,
you'll be shocked to find out that on Sunday, with oil prices spiking and it looking like things were about to get bad for the economy, Donald Trump has yet again announced a pause in the war. Um, okay, so I'm going to tell you right now that this is actually a good pause. I am in favor of this pause, but I'm not going to tell you why for a couple minutes here. I got some other things to run you through real quick, but I'll say this: I am more worried right now about the war than I have been at any point during. To me, the worst case scenario was like, we might lose to Iran. That would be embarrassing, but like that was kind of the worst thing that could happen. I'm more worried right now, but. Um, I'll say this: we're pausing. Donald Trump said that we're going to allow space for the talks to happen, and he said at one point, and I didn't pull the clip, but he said that Iran called and said, "Please stop bombing us. We really want to talk again."
sure.
You'll be shocked to find out that Iran has said no such thing, and I don't know if they've said that to Trump, but publicly they're telling everyone that they don't want to talk. There's no need to talk. Like in their mind, like we're controlling the Strait of Hormuz. Y'all need to go home. Like that's all that needs to be talked about. They did say, and I think they were talking to Reuters, and they said that like if they are to enter into an agreement with us again, like the price just got a lot higher. Like we're not going back to the MOU. Like in their mind, and if you remember, like we unfroze, I think it was like $12 billion, and we didn't give it to them. We like gave it to Qatar to give to them. So technically, we didn't give them any money, but we anyhow. Like we gave them money, we allowed them to sell oil without sanctions for what a week or two. Like we
Uh-huh.
gave a lot up front, and in their mind, then we turned around and broke the deal by trying to sneak ships out of the Strait of Hormuz. So they're like, no, like if you want us to come back to the table, you got to give us even more this time.
Yeah.
That's not the way it's being told in American news. American news is like, look, we gave them all this, and then they broke their deal again. Well, in their
All of American
minds,
news?
most American news, all the reputable, like
Even
I'm
CNN and MSNBC and all that?
Yes. I'm alarmed. Like the stuff that's going on over there right now that's not getting covered here is shocking to me. We're going to get to some of that in a minute. But first things first, Reuters is reporting Iran says it still controls the strait, not seeking talks after Trump halts the bombing. So there, Reuters is like one of the few now. And this has been said every time there's a pause, Iran is like, Trump's lying. And all of our news here doesn't really cover it for Reuters and Axios now, and we're going to cover some Axios stuff, but for them to actually be kind of reporting that, actually, they're not saying it, but they're basically reporting that Trump's lying, which is a big deal. Um,
Brett,
also,
are organizations across the world, are they reporting what's actually happening?
so I think in England they're being a lot more true. They're at least reporting what Iran is saying. Like me and you are both familiar with Drop Site News, Ryan Grimm and Jeremy Scahill. Like
Yeah.
they're the only news organization that is talking to the Iranian government, and they're just reporting. They're saying, "Hey, here's what Iran told us," and they're
Hmm.
getting called traitors in America by the government and some of the media. Like even I like Jake Tapper, but Jake Tapper's been sparring with Ryan Grimm on Twitter and basically accusing him of
Yeah.
being a mouthpiece for Iran. And it's like, hey, whether they're lying or not, I'd like to at least, I think we should all know what they're saying. Like, tell us what they're saying, and then if you think they're lying, tell us why you think they're lying. But
Yeah.
this weird
Because
thing,
like we can't trust Trump, so we need to hear what else
yeah,
what they're saying.
it's
Yeah.
weird to be like, hey, anybody that covers what Iran is trying to say publicly right now is a traitor. Like, that's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Again, if they're lying, show me how we know they're lying. I've said all along, Iran is not to be trusted. And the entire time I've known Iran, they're full of shit. The
Yeah.
problem is right now, they're full of shit and they're up against somebody else who's full of shit. And I don't know who to trust because it seems like both sides are not trustworthy. I will say, just in this conflict, the past 4 or 5 months, more often than not, almost every time, like it's turned out that Iran is telling the truth. Like Iran will say, "Oh, we hit American bases last night," and then we come out immediately like, "No, they didn't hit any of our bases." And then a week later, we see satellite imagery of our bases destroyed, and it's like
Yeah.
Iran. It appears Iran was not lying there. So anyhow, I will say, I think there's this thing that, and I'll bet every administration does it. It's just more obvious with the Trump White House and like Fox News. But I sometimes think that he like everybody says he likes to do trial balloons. He likes to kind of float something as a joke to see what the response is. And then if it doesn't get a good response, he kind of never brings it up again. He also, I believe, will have like Sean Hannity or Jesse Waters float something to see what the response is before he actually says he's going to do it himself.
Well, we've already come to the acknowledgement that like there's a whole right wing like atmosphere out there that and they do those travelings within that
Yeah.
organization, and then all these like right wing media pundits and Sean Hannity and whoever start piling in and start saying what Trump wants to say.
There's like a flow chart, and this is kind of not exactly what you were just saying, but I always saw it interesting because people pulled up specific scenarios, and it's like Fox News reports that an unnamed White House source says blah 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 blah, and Fox News will report it. And then, like the Washington Post will write about what Fox News says, and they'll say, "Oh, Fox News is saying that an unnamed source, blah blah blah." And then Trump will hold up the Washington Post and be like, "Hey, look, the Washington Post is saying it. It must be true." And it's like, "Well, hold on, but that started with you and went in a circle." Okay.
Yeah.
Anyhow, um, the whole thing, there's been a couple people recently that are like, well, like, there are some straits in the world that, it's not a toll, but there's an environmental protection fee. Like, it's not unheard of. Like, you have to pay to use the Suez Canal. Like, it's not unheard.
Okay.
And more right wing people are kind of throwing that out there now. Like, maybe Trump is considering allowing Iran to control the strait and charge a fee. Jesse Waters did it point blank the other day, and this is just funny to me.
People are telling me, why don't we give peace one more chance? So I guess they're back to talks. And now here's what the talks are about. A toll is not a toll. A toll can be a service fee, like the Strait of Malacca. They want to make that the Strait of Hormuz. So Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, they do like an environmental service fee for a few boats. It's not like a blanket toll, but at least it would make the Iranians save face.
My favorite part of that is at the end, he said, at least it'll let the Iranians save face. What do you mean save face? This is the whole ballgame right now is they want to control the strait and they want to charge a toll, and we're saying no. If we let them control the strait and charge a toll, like that's not saving face. That's letting them win. It's really weird how he phrased that. Well, we could kind of let them save face by doing a toll.
Yeah.
That's what we're fighting over. We're not fighting over nuclear right now. Like, if anybody thinks we're still fighting over nuclear, you're wrong. At this point, all we're trying to do is reopen the Strait of Hormuz and the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb, or whatever the heck it is in the Red Sea. Like, those are both closed. Anyhow,
They were both open 3 months ago.
shocking. So, anyhow, let's let them save face and give them everything they want. Sure, that sounds
The
great.
Trump administration needs to save face.
That's what I'm not going to get over that for a minute because, like, Jesse Waters just tried to make the point, but let's let him save face and we'll let him keep their nuclear program. He didn't say that, but we're not even talking nuclear right now. We'll let them keep their nuclear program and charge a toll in the Strait of Hormuz, is basically where we're at, to let them save face. I can't, if you're listening to this and you don't see how batshit crazy that is, I don't know what to tell you right now.
Before Donald Trump, their nuclear program was under control. It was being monitored and in control, and the Strait of Hormuz was open.
The IAEA, I'm going to get this right, the International Atomic Energy Association, something like that. They're the ones that everybody has to sign onto a treaty if you have nuclear weapons, and even if you have just nuclear power, and they can come inspect you whenever. They were getting surprise inspections from the IAEA all the time, letting them in. They never once said, nope, you can't go here, this is off limits. Nothing like that. They were above board, and then Trump and Republicans started going, they're obviously cheating. And it's like, okay, well, show me some evidence they're cheating. Like, we can't just be
Right.
that, oh, we know they must be cheating. Anyhow.
It's fucking crazy, man. So the only thing we have to show from all of this is higher oil prices and food prices and everything else prices. Some military bases that are destroyed, service members dead and injured, and and our armament just kind of depleted.
What
Like we completely lost this.
if you wanted to argue the other side of it, you would say, well, yeah, we had all that happen to us, but man, we really set their military back a decade. They don't have an air force anymore. Their navy's at the bottom of the sea, and we've hit a big part of their missiles. We haven't hit them all, clearly, because they're still launching them. But that would be, you could say, well, it's going to take them years to rebuild, so that's what we got out of it, and you just listed everything we lost. And that'd be the argument. I would say that their drone and missile capacity still seems to be doing all right, and it seems like that's all they need. They've been doing this the whole time without a navy, and it doesn't seem like a navy's really needed for this particular battle. So
Yeah.
anyhow, um, so I tell you all that. The reason that American media is focused on that we have decided to pause this war is they're saying, well, it turns out a lot of people are saying our stockpiles are really low, which this is hysterical to me too. Certain shows, Breaking Points on YouTube, Drop Site, Majority Report, a lot of them have been reporting for a month or two now that like our stockpiles are becoming an issue. Like we don't have enough interceptors. That's why we had to pause the first time. If you only watch ABC, NBC, like they haven't been really covering that at all. Like that's just they don't want to say it because they don't want to upset the president. Is almost what I'm thinking.
Right.
This time around, they're talking about it. Barack Ravid with Axios had a tweet here, and there's a story from Axios, but the top U.S. military commander in the Middle East, Admiral Brad Cooper, recommended stopping the bombing campaign around the Strait of Hormuz because it has reached the limits of its effectiveness. Okay, it reached the limits of its effectiveness. What does that mean? Does that mean we could keep bombing them all day long, but nothing's going to change? Because that's how I read that.
Yeah, we've bombed everything we can bomb there, right? We've also bombed some of their infrastructure, their civilian infrastructure, which is completely against international law. And what else do we bomb? Like they don't really have much else to bomb. That's kind of where I read that at. Like there's not a lot unless we start going after the inner cities.
Well, the thought at first was, well, if we bomb their infrastructure, the power plants, the bridges, the railways, that'll bring them to their knees. And what we've learned real quick is no, that's galvanizing the people of Iran to band together against us. Like it's having the opposite impact, which I can kind of see how they would have thought maybe that would work, but I'm glad at least they're realizing now it's not working. So Axios came out with that first, right after the pause. They said, well, we're pausing because we've kind of hit all the targets we can hit. There's nothing left to bomb. That's why we keep going to war with countries that are so poor that right away we run out of targets, and that's kind of what happened here. Right after that, though, NBC came out with one.
Why the U.S. military is letting some Iranian projectiles through its defenses. American military commanders are choosing not to intercept some Iranian projectiles that are off course or not expected to hit U.S. forces amid a diminishing munition supply. Oh.
So diminishing munition supply, we're running out of interceptors. And if you read the whole story, it says, well, if it's going to hit one of our bases that has troops on it, then we use an interceptor. If it's a base we've evacuated, we've kind of stopped trying to protect. They're already bombed. And more importantly, at first we were using our interceptors to protect the cities, Dubai and Riyadh, all the big cities over there with our allies. We were trying to protect, and now we're not. They're just getting hit, and we don't have. We kind of have to think now. Okay, who do we need to protect? The number one person we have to protect is U.S. military soldiers because we can't have that body count going up. By the way, before I go any further, did you see the whole deal with our official casualty count for this war? Have you seen this over the weekend?
I haven't really seen. I heard numbers, but everybody I've heard those numbers from say it's way higher than what we're saying.
Well, so different controversy right now. There were officially 13 dead. I think it was like 13 dead and 200 something casualties, which is wounded. But we know we lost 5 in like a 4-day period last week, so it jumped up to 18. And then on Friday night, it went back from 18 to 13 unexplainably. They just took those 5 off. And when they got asked about it by the media, they said, well, that's the death count for the war. This all happened after we signed the MOU and Donald Trump formally told Congress that military operations are over. So these deaths fall under, what is it called? It's like Operation Enduring Freedom, which is the war on terror that we've been in for 20 years. So they tried to, it's just an accounting thing, but they're not in this category of the war with Iran. They're in this general category of just fighting terrorism in general.
Okay.
Everybody threw a fit about it. And for about a day, they moved those 5 casualties back to the Iran war list, which in everybody's mind, that's where they belong. Then just today, they officially split that, and they're going to count it as two entirely separate military actions. We had 13 dead in Operation Epic Fury that already happened, and now this new thing, whatever this is, I don't think we have a name for it yet, has a death count of 5, but he's keeping it separate to where he doesn't like. They're trying to protect Trump from having the numbers grow, so we're going to start compartmentalizing these deaths.
Oh, how stupid.
Yeah, it's dumb, but they had the spouses and parents of the 5 that recently died on the news channels over the weekend, like crying in front of the news channels, and not a good look. Like if you're Trump, I don't think Trump had anything to do with it. I think somebody that was trying to make Trump happy did this, but like what a bone. This is an unforced error. Like why are you even doing this?
I mean, yeah, it sounds like a Hegseth thing.
Probably somebody under
Yeah.
Hegseth did this, but anyhow, we're not stopping all the missiles coming, just the ones that are coming for U.S. troops is kind of where we're at. Mike Waltz, who this guy, if you remember, he was originally the national security director. I want to say he had a title. He was in the cabinet, and he was the one that started the group chat that became Signalgate, where he started a group chat and accidentally included a journalist in it. So he got moved. Like they thought he was going to fire him, but Trump really didn't want to have to fire anybody. So they moved him, and he's now the ambassador to the UN. He's the only person they would put out in front of the Sunday shows this week. But they asked him, hey, this is Kristen Welker on NBC. Hey, we're hearing that you guys are low on interceptors. I want you to really listen to this answer because it's hysterical to me. He starts by saying, well, the reason we have a shortage of our interceptors is all Biden's fault. And then he says, but we don't have a shortage at all. We have everything we need. But the leakers that are telling you about the shortage should go to jail. So it's a roller coaster of an answer. Check it out.
It's always Biden's fucking fault.
Yeah.
You raise assets. I want to ask you about the assets. NBC News is reporting the Pentagon is actually rationing some defense weaponry amid diminishing supplies. Is America backing away from a larger military attack because its military stockpile has been depleted?
Well, look, we have to take a step back here in that a lot of stockpiles were depleted, not only from what we gave Ukraine over the last however many years, 4 or 5 years, and the administration inherited, the Secretary Hegseth inherited a depleted situation from not only Ukraine, but also the ongoing fight with the Houthis under the Biden administration and a depleted military under the Biden administration. So they have decided, one, they're going to new types of munitions, cheaper munitions, new technologies, but also with these new defense budgets, rebuilding our great military. However,
but you acknowledge they're
I want to be clear.
Do you acknowledge they're depleted, at this moment?
I want to be crystal clear. The U.S. military, and I've verified this every which way, has everything that it needs to conduct this campaign as effectively as it needs to be. And I have to tell you, the people that are leaking this nonsense deserve to be in jail.
It's Biden's fault that there's a shortage. There is not a shortage. The people that are leaking the fact that there's a shortage should be in jail. That's the official White House stance right now on that. So anyhow, that's what most of American media is focused on as far as why we're doing the pause here. It's a big deal because when we paused the first time, they didn't really mention the fact that we were depleting our munitions. This time they're at least talking about it. But I got to tell you what, that's not the real reason we're in a pause right now. Like, it's not. And even oil prices had just gotten back over $100, and a lot of people are saying, oh, well, the oil prices got high, and that's why he paused it. That's not the reason. We got a problem on our hands, okay? And first of all, the first sign that I knew we had a problem, Laura Loomer. Okay. A couple months ago, probably 6 months ago, I found myself in this weird position where I was agreeing with Candace Owens. Not just once, several times. I was like, wow, Candace Owens, you making a great point here. Then a couple months later, I caught myself with Marjorie Taylor Greene going, oh shit, Marge, like you're cooking. Like what's going on here? If I have to start agreeing with Laura Loomer, I am quitting. Like we're not doing this anymore. I don't want to be, I don't want to live in a world where I read a Laura Loomer tweet and I go, that made sense right there. I'm not ready for it, okay? Anyhow, as far as we're talking about Laura Loomer, she out of nowhere, and it wasn't just her. There was the right-wing podcast sphere that was very pro-Putin for a while, for like the last couple of years. Like they think Russia's awesome. They're anti-Ukraine. slowly over the past couple of weeks, they have started to flip where these people are set. Like Tim Pool is one of them. Tim Pool has been very pro-Russia, it seems like, and all of a sudden he's pro-Zelensky.
Well, he was getting money from the Russians.
He
Yeah.
was. And
Uh-huh.
a lot of people are saying the Russian economy right now, because they're getting hit left and right by Ukraine, like their oil economy, which is how they make most of their money. And people are making the joke that Russia's economy is not doing well. They don't have money to pay our podcasters anymore, and that's why they're all turning. Okay, whatever. Laura Loomer turned right around the same time as Tim Pool and was tweeting all this pro-Ukraine, anti-Russia stuff. RT, Russia Today, basically took screenshots of some of her tweets where she was talking about how good Russia is and called her out on it. And RT's post at the bottom there, I'm not in Russia because I'm not a propagandist, says Loomer, who visits Ukraine for a PR trip, forgets to scrub timeline. And then they have some of her tweets down below. She, to her credit, came out on top and said, I did say these things about Ukraine and Zelensky, and I'm not deleting my post because I've realized I was wrong. I was living in a media echo chamber, and I was propagandized by Russian media on social media to believe those things. So she came to Ukraine, blah blah blah. It goes on. Already, I'm worried. Why is Laura Loomer in Ukraine? Why is she suddenly making sense on this? This worries me. 2 days later, I see what Laura Loomer's up to.
Oh God! So she's sitting down with
She
Zelensky.
interviewed Zelensky. Like, I'm very confused as to what's going on here. Now,
Zelensky's a smart guy, man. Like,
oh,
how, how do you get the American people on your side?
it was a softball interview, and he said all the right things that you would do if you're trying to get Trump's attention. Because more than anything, Ukraine wants America to be more fully on its side. Right now, the deal we have is we will not sell arms directly to Ukraine because that would upset Russia, but we'll sell them to the European Union and NATO, and then they'll sell them they'll give them to Ukraine. But like on paper, we are not giving anything to Ukraine. It's very important for Trump that that's
You know
the
what's
case.
so funny is Russia has been our enemy. Yeah, enemy, for lack of a better term, enemy since the 70s, 60s, 70s, and all the way up until Trump's first term when he received that magical soccer ball from Putin. Like we were enemies with Russia. And then for some reason Donald Trump loves Putin, is friends with Putin. What did he say? Well, Putin says he didn't do it, so I guess he didn't do it.
That was in Helsinki, and we're getting to Helsinki in a minute. We had our own today version of Helsinki, but I'm trying to think how to say this right. This is a touchy subject. There is a link between those podcasters who were formerly the pro-Russia ones and Ukraine and one other country in the Middle East that we say is a democracy that's not like all the other countries in the Middle East. And they have been talking about entering into partnerships right now to fight the Hamas and Hezbollah and all that because Ukraine has figured out how to handle the drone problem. They're handling drones better than anybody else. So they're selling their technology to the Gulf states right now, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia. They're sending advisors over to work with the Saudis on how to intercept these drones using this equipment. Drones have become a big deal in the war against Hezbollah and Hamas. So naturally, people are turning to Ukraine to help Israel out there. This all was happening right around the time suddenly, like the Laura Loomers, who Laura Loomer was pro-Russia, but also very pro-Israel. I believe she is Jewish. I'm not 100%. I'm pretty sure she is. So there's a weird triangle connection there that I don't fully understand, but we should all be aware of. As this was happening, I think the day after Laura Loomer interviewed him, in the Caspian Sea, which the Caspian Sea is right in between like Kazakhstan and Iran on like the northeast side of Iran. Well, this is from Reuters. Iran says Ukrainian attack on vessel in the Caspian Sea killed a sailor. So Ukraine launched a missile from Ukraine to the Caspian Sea, which is not far but not too close, and hit an Iranian ship they say was transporting missiles, arms, stuff from Russia to Iran, because Russia very clearly is supplying Iran with stuff. We all know it. It's one of those where they claim they're not, but it's very clear they are. And Ukraine saw this and said, "Oh, well, we're gonna help America out by making sure those weapons never get to Iran." Okay. Iran, very upset. One of their sailors got killed in this attack. They are vowing that they're about to start striking Ukraine. Ukraine is saying that if they start striking us, we're going to start striking their cities. I really don't like it. Like when people do the whole like, "Yeah, we're about to have a civil war in America." Shut up. We're not about to have a civil war. Like it bothers me. When people do the whole like, "Oh, this is going to be World War III." Shut up. This isn't going to be a World War III. People have been talking about every conflict that starts. "Oh, we're trying to start World War III." I have turned a page on that because if bringing these two conflicts together is a very bad idea, and Trump knows that. Now, I like Zelensky, and I'm pro we need to help Ukraine, but also, what are you doing, Zelensky? Like, and he's thinking about what's best for Ukraine. So if he can start attacking Iran, then suddenly he's thinking this might draw America in to help Ukraine more. This also puts us in a weird place. Like we've been doing everything we possible since World War II. We keep having all these wars, but it's never directly America versus Russia. It's always a proxy on one side or the other. And this is needs to be handled delicately, is all I'm going to say. Like
And
this
we do
is
not have the temperament right now to handle anything delicately.
the only thing that's good is that I think Trump he doesn't want to get into war with Putin at all. So.
Yeah.
We had another little Helsinki thing here. Ukraine. So Trump has been saying for a while that I'm gonna back up here. There's been reports by a lot of people leaking that we know that Russia and China are giving like satellite info to Iran to help them target our bases. Like that's been reported quite a bit throughout this whole thing.
Sure.
They keep asking Trump, and Trump says, no, no, no. They haven't been doing that, and if they have, it's not helping at all. That's basically been his line. So Zelensky, right at the same time that he hits this Iranian ship, he comes out and says, we have evidence. Our intelligence service have intercepted stuff. Like we know that Russia is providing information to the Iranians on how to hit the bases, where to hit the bases, where the troops are stationed, where the CIA. The other day they hit a hotel that had our CIA agents in it. Like that's supposed to be off the books and covert, and somehow Iran knew where all of our CIA agents were staying. I think it was in the UAE. Either way, so Zelensky is in America right now. He got here today. He's meeting with Trump at the Oval Office tomorrow, supposedly to show Trump the evidence that says conclusively that Russia is helping Iran kill American troops. This is delicate, okay? I almost want Trump to lie for us on this one, buddy, because if Trump says, yep, Russia is actively helping American troops die, then we kind of got to go to war with Russia. I don't know how you say that and then not fight back, but nobody wants that. As much as I'm pro Zelensky, anti-Trump in a lot of ways, but like I hope that Trump tomorrow says, I don't buy this shit. Get out of here. Like that's kind of the best case scenario of what we're dealing with. Scary, huh?
Very scary.
Not being talked about in America at all. Like being talked about overseas a lot. American media is like ignoring that Zelensky's very much wanting to bring these two conflicts together.
I'm so disappointed in our mainstream media. Like just everything they're not covering, basically. What they're saying and then also what they're not saying.
Yep.
Is a big one. It's crazy.
I bet 90% of people walking around America right now have no clue that Ukraine already hit Iran, an Iranian ship. Iran is threatening to hit Ukraine, and Ukraine's threatening to hit them back. Like a lot of people in America are walking around have no clue that's going on for the last 3 days.
Even if they're watching the news.
Yep.
Which is insane. I mean, the thing is like our news is not covering stuff that all the other news stations across the world are covering. And it's going on, but our news stations choose not to cover.
Yes, there's no good. Yeah, yes, you're right, and I don't know why. And it's got to be pressure from Trump in some ways. Yeah, I don't know. You'd think that's a bombshell right there. Like that's.
Big time.
I don't know why. I don't know why people wouldn't want to report on the truth, but whatever. just to go on record with this real quick, here's Donald Trump being asked if he believes that Russia is supplying intelligence to Iran.
And you said today that Russia and China are not helping. Earlier this week, the War Secretary Hegseth said that they are enabling. So what is the difference?
Well, I don't know that they're enabling. I mean, I will tell you that President Xi said he will not partake, and President Putin said the same thing. I think, I trust them. They've had a long-term relationship. There could be some things they do, but thus far, at least, it has not been major. I don't think they'd want to have me disappointed.
He just said, I trust them, referring to President Xi of China and Putin of Russia. I trust them. He didn't say I trust them over our intelligence, but I had a flashback to Helsinki there. Because in Helsinki in 2018, he said, well, my intelligence says that they did it, but I just talked to him and he said very powerfully that he didn't do it. And I don't see why he'd lie about it. Basically, flat out, I don't want to say flat out, but he basically said, I trust him over my own intelligence is telling me this.
Well,
Right there.
He's done that with almost everything. He doesn't trust his own intelligence.
I got to believe that. I got to
he's
believe
done that throughout this whole war, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
I'm trying. What do you?
Yahoo came in and said, like, oh, we can take Iran real quick. It'll be a quick, simple thing. They're not going to close down the Strait of Hormuz. Our intelligence said it's not going to be a simple thing. This is another 20-year war, and they're going to close down the Strait of Hormuz.
But then
he went after it anyway.
But then the president of Israel came to town, or not the president, but the prime minister, and told them that, this will be 3 or 4 days tops. And
yeah,
what do you think's more likely? That our intelligence has no evidence, no clue whatsoever that Russia is providing information to Iran, or there's 3 options here: that, or they know it, but they're too afraid to put it in the president's daily briefing, so they're just not telling him, or C, it's in his briefing and he's choosing not to believe it.
I think it's C. I think he gets the briefings. Yeah. I think he probably asks about that war every day. There's probably an hour-long conversation about what's going on in the war every single day.
Well, this was at the beginning of the war. They supposedly he didn't want the briefing every day. What Hegseth would do is Hegseth would put together a highlight video of different stuff they've blown up, and they would show him like a little highlight reel of all the different targets they hit, and he really liked that. And they realized that he liked that, so they were like, just keep bringing in shit to show him every day of us blowing stuff up. So
he's like Benjamin Button, man. He looks like dog shit. He's on his deathbed, and he's acts like a child.
Yeah, it's sad. And the other thing to keep in mind real quick with these podcasters, I do want to say this, these podcasters that have suddenly flipped and are on Ukraine's side, there's a chance they might just be following Trump, like whatever Trump says they're going to do. And Trump, according to different reports, once he started realizing like, oh, Ukraine's actually doing good here. Like Ukraine is gaining ground back. Like they have a chance against Russia. Trump always likes to be on the side of the winner. And once he started getting those reports, he suddenly is a little bit more pro-Ukraine. He still is a Putin fanboy, but he's suddenly he's liking what Ukraine is doing, and he's kind of getting more on their side. And that might have happened. And then these influencers that always want to stay in Trump's good graces might have flipped with him. I don't really know. It's weird that Loomer got an interview with Zelensky is all I'm going to say. Like, that's weird, but
yeah, that is kind of odd.
It might be, maybe Zelensky's orchestrating this masterfully. I don't know.
I could see that. Like I said, like Zelensky, how do you get on the side of America, which is what he's been wanting for a long time now.
Yeah. If he suddenly
start going after the podcasters.
If he's suddenly like in Austin, Texas on the Joe Rogan Experience, I'm going to be like, what's going on here?
That would be cool.
Yeah. Anyhow, we're moving on from Iran. I'll say this: knowing everything I know about the Ukraine angle in Iran now, like, I'm glad we're doing a pause. Like, this is the best pause Trump's done during this whole conflict. Like, as we were going through the weekend, it's like, oh shit! Like, Ukraine is about to be fully involved. Like, imagine the series of events there. Like, Iran ends up striking Ukraine. Ukraine declares war on Iran, strikes them back. Iran declares war on Ukraine. Now we have Russia and Iran versus America, Ukraine, and all the Gulf nations. Suddenly, all of Europe's going to jump into that. Like, NATO will jump in a heartbeat on that one. So now you have all the NATO countries plus the Gulf countries versus Russia and Iran. And then the fear is, does China get involved? And I personally, like, I don't think China does. China's been more than happy to let us and other countries waste their money and time and bombs on all these, like, they're just building up in the background. And I think they'd be more happy to let us all fight it out. And then whoever does emerge victorious is not going to be stronger. They're going to be fully depleted. And now China is suddenly clearly the superpower. So,
Yeah, well, China is the smartest country out of all of them, out of all of us,
yeah.
because they don't care about military might anymore. They have the intelligence, they have the army, they have the military to back it up, but they're really going after technology, trade, money, intelligence.
So
Like
I'm gonna disagree with one thing. They care about military might, like they're building aircraft carriers and hypersonic missiles, and they have a satellite that can go up and grab other satellites and destroy them. Like we don't have that. They're the only like this was a couple years ago, but we were tracking one of their satellites they launched into orbit, and it was changing like direction in orbit, which is weird. Normally they just are falling, and it was
yeah.
clearly using propulsion, and it went up to another Chinese satellite and basically swallowed it, and the two became one, and that was a big deal because they claimed we pointed that out in the media, and they said, oh well, no, that's a repair satellite. We can send it up, and it can latch onto other satellites and repair them. Well, if there was to be a big world war, like if you can disrupt the other side's satellites, like that's GPS, that's tracking, like
That's
that's the
everything.
that's the ball game right there. And the
Yeah.
fact that China could possibly go up to our satellites now and grab a hold of them and disable them, wow. So China's
Well,
been spending money on equipment, but they're not spending money on endless wars and bombing countries for no reason. Like they're just building equipment. They're adding to their stockpiles daily as they watch us expend our stockpiles. So
yeah. Well, it's the smart move. And they haven't gotten in a war since what was it, 1954 or something like
something like
that?
that, yeah.
And like that's the smart move. Like they're focused, like sure, they're doing all this great technology with capturing satellites or whatever, but they're also just using their intelligence and their technology to kind of rule the world.
Well, and they also learned from America. Like for a long time, America was using what's called soft power. Like we would go into these countries in Africa and help them fight disease and AIDS and whatever and build a school. And that's soft power. And that's how you build friendships around the world. And they've
Hmm.
started doing that. They called it like the Golden Road Initiative or the Yellow Road Initiative. There's some name for it. But they started doing that in the last decade. And when we, during Trump's first year this time, fully got rid of USAID and cut back all our spending, like they were there to step in our absence in a lot of places. And like they're gaining allies. I was going to say friends, but they're gaining allies all throughout the world. It's going to come in handy one day for them. So
Speaking
they're,
of USAID, did you see that interview with Elon Musk?
I almost pulled clips from that, but like it was, yeah, he didn't look good. He doesn't do interviews where he's going to get asked hard questions hardly at all. And like when he does, he melts down at the side of one. And she was like, she tried to say it nicely, but she basically was like, you know that there's a lot of people that loathe you, right? And
Yeah.
he started to melt down, and he was like, no, they hate you. They hate the media. They don't hate me. And he said they hate you at one point, and she was like, I don't think anybody knows who I am. And he was like, well, it's the media. And she did a great job. I wish every American journalist would go watch that interview with Elon Musk
Yeah.
and take notes on how she did. She stayed calm. She asked pointed questions.
Right. Well,
Elon didn't look better after that interview at all, but you know.
no. And she brought up USAID and she said that it was like 14, it's going to be up to like 14 million people are going to die because he cut aid to USAID.
There's all kinds of studies and different numbers floating around. The number is not zero. Like he's saying zero people will die because of his USAID cuts. And I don't know what the right number is. I just guarantee like there's already been like he asked this question on Twitter a while back. He said, "If can anybody name one person that died because of the USAID cuts?" And there's this one journalist from like Europe that went through, and it went on forever. He replied and was doing like a thread, and he was naming a name, the day the person died, why they died, how USAID affected it, and like just a list. And then later Elon was like, "See, no names," and it's like, no, that guy. And I believe, but I'm not certain, but I believe Eli went through and had that guy all his tweets deleted and had his account suspended. So
Of course. Of
yeah,
course.
Anyhow, all right, moving on from Iran. The main thing I wanted to talk about tonight, the White House Correspondents Dinner. And normally in any other year we wouldn't give any time to that. This one was weird. So this was the sequel, the part two. If you remember, the original White House Correspondents Dinner is when we had the gunman charged through security and actually made it much farther than he should have.
Yeah.
But they ended up canceling that night. They rushed everybody out of the room. Months have gone by. We're doing it again. Apparently, they had a lot more security this time. Good deal. Awkward. Have you seen any clips of this?
I've seen some. Again, I'm so disappointed with the media. Like, why would you Trump, you wrote a scathing article about Trump being like the most corrupt person in the world. Oh, no, it wasn't about that. It was about the Epstein files. The most disgusting thing in the world that Trump could ever do. First of all, you wrote that, and then he sued you for that. And I think it's still in mitigation or something. He's still suing him. And then they go up on stage and they fucking shake hands with the guy.
So I look at it the complete different way than you are right now.
I'd love to hear it.
To me, this was like them sticking it in his face. Like he was the one that had to sit there. I'm going to show you some clips, but he had to sit there while people received awards for their groundbreaking coverage of him, that pointing out the corrupt shit he's doing, and he had to sit there and smile and then get up and shake their hand as they win an award for exposing some lie or corruption he did. Like
Okay.
in every circumstance, the journalist had a shit-eating grin on their face, and like I will say, Trump tried to get playful with it at certain points, but like, why would he go there? Like that's my question. Like, this is a night honoring them for their courageous bravery in the face of a fucking authoritarian dictator, and like they're getting awards for their coverage of him, and he has to sit there and watch the whole thing. If I'm one of those journalists that's going to win an award for exposing something Donald Trump did and he has to watch it, I will be there in a heartbeat, is all I'm going to say. So, and I would shake his hand and I would do it with a shit-eating grin on my
Okay,
face.
I like that take. I like that. That's a good take.
That's that's my
I mean,
take.
he went after Caitlin Collins.
And he looked like an ass. Like, okay,
Yeah.
before we spill, like, 'cause I do have some of these clips we're talking about. This first clip, real quick. This was an award for like being courage in reporting or something along those lines. Wolf Blitzer is going to explain it. This is a little bit of a long clip, but I urge you to listen to what Wolf Blitzer is saying in this clip, because he's talking about the infamous birthday card that Donald Trump gave to Epstein. And the Washington Post found that and reported upon it. Trump threatened to sue them if they published it for 10 billion, 20 billion, whatever it was. They went ahead and published it anyway, knowing they were going to get sued. And that is what led to us getting some of the Epstein files. We haven't got them all, but some of them. His body language and expression through this, we're going to talk about afterward, but check this out.
And now the Katharine Graham Award for Courage and Accountability, named for the legendary Washington Post publisher. And it comes with a prize of $10,000. This year's award goes to the Wall Street Journal. The Journal's courageous reporting on President Trump's past relationship with financier Jeffrey Epstein triggered the release of the so-called Epstein files, thousands of documents that might otherwise have remained hidden from the public. And despite the president's threat of a lawsuit, the Journal published a story about a provocative letter to Epstein bearing President Trump's signature. Trump quickly filed a $20 billion lawsuit against the Journal, revealing reporter Khadija Safdar's home address. Her family had to be relocated. The Journal was kicked off of Air Force One, but the reporters continue to file revelatory stories. Please welcome the winners of the Katharine Graham Award from the Wall Street Journal. Khadija Safdar, Sadie Gurman, Annie Linsky, Josh Dawsey again, Alex Leary, Rebecca Ballhaus, and Ryan Barber. Their colleague, Joe Palazzolo, could not attend tonight.
She like, thank you so much. And as she shook Trump's hand, which is weird.
So again, like he was clearly uncomfortable while they were talking about the fact that he was trying to sue them to not let this come out. He like turned to the audience and was like, what are you gonna like?" To me, that was like, you caught me." Like that. He didn't say that, but that's what I read into that. It's like, I was lying, you caught me. And even when
didn't seem
he was shaking their
uncomfortable.
hand, he was like,
just seemed like he doesn't give a shit.
No, so when he got up to finally speak, he even said, he was like, "Well, he's like, I knew I wasn't gonna really enjoy tonight, but to be honest with you, it's been worse than I thought it would be." Like he didn't like having to sit up there and let all this happen. Like I guarantee you, the people in the room had a better time than him for sure. I don't think
Okay.
he'll be back next year, is what I'll say.
Okay. He didn't
Anyhow,
go to the last one, right? He didn't go to
what?
his last one.
No, he hadn't. He didn't go to any of them in his first term.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in fact,
Which is probably better.
one time his press secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders went, and the comedian Michelle Wolf was the presenter, and she made fun of her, and they acted like she'd hit her almost. It was like violence. It was like, I can't believe she would do that to her. Anyhow,
I remember that.
yeah, that was the end of them showing up at all to this. So the fact he's back in general, anyhow. The other award that was just funny to me, because this is maybe my favorite picture of the entire Trump administration, but somebody won an award for like the best photo, basically. This is a Getty journalist. Check this one out.
This award recognizes a video or photojournalist for covering the presidency at the White House or in the field. And this year's award goes to Andrew Harnick of Getty Images. He captured the moment an Oval Office visitor collapsed during an event. And from the judges, they say this: "Through sharp timing, layered composition, and visual irony, this photograph expertly documents a true split-screen moment in real time. The president's orientation and posture inadvertently echo the statue to his right, while the other half of the frame is defined by movement."
Okay.
I honestly think that was like one of the low points in this Trump administration, and it's just from his body language. Like that was like a couple-week period where nothing was going right for him and everything was going wrong, and then he's finally getting to announce some kind of it was prescription drug lowering of cost or something like that, and he's finally got something good to do, and an old guy collapses behind him, and everybody's trying to like lift his feet and do all kinds of stuff for him, and Trump was just sitting there like it was the most defeated I've ever seen Trump look. That photo right there is my favorite photo from the Trump administration. So, anyhow, there were other awards like that, but every award was about somebody's bravery. And he didn't say this, but it was basically like how brave they were in staring down the threats of a dictator. They still reported the story. Like that was the gist of every award. And he had to sit there and take that shit. That's awesome to me. I enjoyed that. He did get up and talk. He had two jokes that landed as far as I could count. Most of it was just him being an asshole, like him making fun of people or calling them names, insulting them, and the whole room being very quiet. One of the two good jokes he had is he said something along the lines of like, "I hope you're enjoying your beef tenderloin tonight. Like RFK hit this with his minivan on the way here." Something like that. Something like that.
Okay.
Well, the room laughed. That was funny.
Who do you think wrote his speech? It was a comedian, right? It had to have been like Tony Hinchcliffe or somebody.
There's reporting that Tony Hinchcliffe helped write it, but like I don't believe that because Tony Hinchcliffe, I'm not a fan of his, but he is funnier than this speech was. Like if he wrote that, it's the worst material he's ever written in his life. Like
Tony Hinchcliffe's not that funny. He's a good roaster.
Well, which this is supposed to be a roast, and it didn't have. I've seen him on Comedy Central roast a lot. This didn't have a Tony Hinchcliffe flair to it at all. It sounded like Stephen Miller wrote it. Like that's honestly like, if I had to put money on it, this had Stephen Miller's fingerprints all over it.
No, they hired a comedian to write it. There's no way Stephen
Like I
Miller.
said, if it really was Tony Hinchcliffe, it's the worst job he's ever done with roast. Because back before he was actually on the roasts, like he spent years writing the material for the people that were on the roast, and at some point they were like, "This is our best roast writer. Let's let him get on stage." And that's kind of what started. He got started for a lot of reasons, Rogan being one of them. But he can write for a roast. This wasn't good, so. The best joke he had, I will say, the best joke he had, which even I got a kick out of, I'm going to play for you now.
press here in one place. I have to say that we're having an amazing load of accomplishments that the media never talks about. For example, under my administration, a once feared and powerful regime that relentlessly attacked America has finally been toppled. Their former leaders have been removed, and they're now being run by a gay dictator facing internal divisions. But I, for one, wish Barry Weiss all the best at CBS News. She's a wonderful woman. Most of the
So the setup was great because he's clearly talking about Iran, is what it looks like, and you know the whole thing where they're saying the new Ayatollah is gay. That's been the so, and their gay leader, and then he flips it to CBS and Barry Weiss, who is gay. Now, what's funny is like the main press corps got a giggle out of that. They're like the people in the room that are aligned with CBS, Larry Ellison, and that one country that they help out a lot. They didn't laugh, and the camera flashed to some of them, and they did not find this funny at all, that they were attacking CBS and Barry Weiss. So, also, we've talked about Joe Rogan a couple of times tonight. I realized this the other day. It's Joe Rogan's fault we have Barry Weiss to deal with right now. Like, she was just a writer for the New York Times, and Joe Rogan had her on a couple times, and she gained a lot of attention, and now she's running CBS and soon to be CNN. It's also Joe Rogan's fault that we got this Elon Musk problem. Like, Elon was around, but Joe had him on the pod. He smoked weed on the pod. He had him back a couple times. Like, we wouldn't have the Elon Musk we have today if not for Joe Rogan. So I watched Joe Rogan for a lot of years, but
we wouldn't have Donald Trump as president if it wasn't for Joe Rogan.
This time, probably. Yeah, I think this time, yes. The first time around, Joe did. He wasn't very involved, to say the least. But anyhow, so that's, yeah.
In fact, he spoke out against Trump the first time.
He did in 2016.
That's when he had like Bernie Sanders on. And,
yeah.
Yeah, he spoke out against Trump. And then the second time around, he could come. Yeah, I mean, dude.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan has swayed American politics, our media corps, and our trillionaire.
Which, that's what, like, every time there's a trillionaire that's starting to get bad press, they go on Joe Rogan. Like, the entire PayPal mafia, Mark Andreessen and Peter Thiel and Elon, like, they've cultivated a useful friend in Joe Rogan, and they're exploiting it. So,
yeah, they're just using him too. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I'm sure he's getting something out of it, but yeah,
probably.
So, anyhow, the rest of the speech, I only pulled one more clip, and this is just to give you a flavor for the rest of the speech. But I pulled this one for us. I know I love Caitlin Collins. I'm pretty sure you love Caitlin Collins. He decided to attack Caitlin Collins, and the room went silent. And here's the clip for you.
They'll learn their lesson, but I want to personally congratulate CNN's Caitlin Collins on receiving her award. It was all about me. It's a fake. She shouldn't get the award. It was a fake, but I didn't mind. I said, Caitlin, congratulations. But it was fake. There's no question about it. But she's a young, attractive woman. She never smiles. I said, Caitlin, do you have a smile? Smile. You have a nice position. You're at CNN Fake News. You should be a happy person. So smile, Caitlin. Just smile. But we attack.
Is that Jeff Bezos in the corner there making those faces?
So Wolf Blitzer was just past her, if that's who you're seeing.
No, just before her, to the very left of the frame, there's a bald guy. And it kind of looks like Bezos, and he's like making weird faces.
Hold on. It's not Jeff Bezos. I don't know who that is, but it's not Jeff Bezos. It is a bald guy, though. Anyhow, so that right there, like, I don't want to pretend I fully understand what upsets different groups of people, but I know that you don't tell a woman to smile more. Like, apparently that's something that's very offensive to women.
100%.
I don't get it, but you would think that somebody would have told him this by now. He keeps telling Caitlin Collins she needs to smile more. He's been doing it for like a year and a half now. Either nobody's told him or he doesn't give a care, but whatever. So, yeah, the rest of the night fell flat. Even papers that are normally sympathetic to him, the Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, like their headlines were like Trump bombs at White House Correspondents Dinner. So not good reviews, to say the least. I guarantee you he will not be back next year is where we're at.
Yeah,
so.
probably. Good. He shouldn't have been there in the first place. Like, there's no reason for him to be there. He like every single, all the awards were about him.
Yeah, like I said.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, the White House press corps, they would happily do this again because it was a bad night for him in general. He had to sit there while everybody won awards for exposing him. He had to shake their hands, and then his speech sucked. So like everything that could have gone wrong for him went wrong. So I say they invite him next year, and he won't come, but they should invite him. So anyhow, I got 3 quick ones to end us on tonight, and I felt like these were important enough to where we should at least talk about them, but we're not going to spend too much time. First thing. We talked about the ICC, which is the International Criminal Court, I think last show or the show before, and about the fact that they, they're threatening to to charge war crimes against Israel and possibly President Trump. Marco Rubio is making it his mission to like do away with the ICC. Like he wants them gone. He said that flat out. It's kind of becoming clear what their strategy is going to be. This is from the State Department, which Marco Rubio runs. But the U.S. welcomes the decision by interim President Delcy Rodriguez and Venezuela to withdraw from the ICC and the new Venezuelan government's partnership on the American-led efforts to dismantle the corrupt and worthless ICC. I'm not going to go on reading that, but so he's got one country now to drop out. And from the reporting, this is going to be our playbook. Is every country we hold any power over, we're now doing like a full court pressure campaign for them to withdraw from the ICC. The idea of the ICC is really good. First of all, like the ICC doesn't have an army or like a police force. So like if they put out a warrant, they can't go get anybody. They're kind of toothless. We tried this at first with the League of Nations after World War I. And the idea was like, hey, we won't ever have war again because any dispute will get brought to the League of Nations and we'll resolve it there without war. Sounds great. It's kind of like socialism or communism. Like sounds great. Not going to work in real life. The League of Nations did good for a couple of years, but then we had World War II.
Socialism works, by the way.
Okay. Another show.
Communism has never worked. It could work if you had the right people.
Yeah, if everybody was a good person, which is not the case, so not going to happen. But we had the League of Nations, and then we have the United Nations. The United Nations is a joke because we have the UN Security Council, which is like the top 8 countries. America, China, and Russia are all in it. And like every time somebody tries to sanction like Israel, for example, for war crimes, like America steps in and vetoes it. If you're a member of the Security Council, your one veto will veto anything. And same with anything that Russia or China is doing, they'll bail each other out. So like nothing ever gets done. So the UN's not doing good. The ICC is the other alternative, but at the same time, like there was a warrant out on George W. Bush for war crimes during the first Iraq, or I guess the Iraq war in the early 2000s. Yeah. And like, it didn't matter. Like nobody arrested him. So like, it's kind of, so I like the idea of the ICC. It's not perfect yet. It's not even close to perfect. Like there's no teeth to it. But also getting rid of it, like is the plan that we're going to get rid of it. And then the Board of Peace is going to take its place. Cause I think that might be the plan. Like what's going to take its place?
Well, I hope not, because the Board of Peace is run by the same guy who's committing war crimes.
And if you're Donald Trump, wouldn't that be great if the Board of Peace basically he has said that he thinks it should take over for the UN. I don't remember exactly how he phrased it, but it's basically going to replace the UN. So get the ICC out of the way, get the UN out of the way, and Trump is running the world at that point. I don't know that this will even come close to happening, but I think in his mind, it'd be a great deal. So
no, let's put some of the good countries in charge. I mean, the ICC is great. Let's put some force behind it and actually like do something about it.
So I don't like the idea of let's put the good countries in charge. I think it should be a deal where every member of whatever, the UN, the League of Nations, whatever it is, every member has an equal vote to where you can't have one country like America veto everything, like or China or Russia. So everybody gets an equal vote and everybody has to abide by what they say. But
let's also put some force behind it and like give them some sort of police force so where they can actually go across the country and arrest somebody.
To be a war started off that. Imagine if they try to drop into America, China, or Russia to arrest either a general, a military commander, a president, whatever it is. That would start a war. It's one of those, I don't know what the answer is. The idea of the League of Nations, UN, or the ICC, it's a good idea. But like, it's never worked in reality, and I don't know how. I don't have a better idea to offer.
Team America, baby. Team America.
Yep, I'm sure Trump would love that. Anyhow, so that's the first of the 3. Second one. By the way, I didn't even pull this, but today Trump officially asked the Supreme Court to do an emergency hearing to allow him to put out an executive order doing away with mail-in balloting and basically trying to do the SAVE Act by executive order. And he wants the Supreme Court to basically rule on this like now so that he can implement it before the midterms that are 4 months away. The Supreme Court shouldn't even hear it. Normally, the Supreme Court will only hear things that go through the lower courts and get appealed all the way up. It's rare for them to just step in and take something that hasn't even been tried at a lower court. But with our Supreme Court currently at a 6-3 Republican, like, I don't know for sure that this is not going to happen. So, but he's also trying to mess with the vote in other places. He's already done it in a couple places. They announced recently he's very afraid that the left-wing candidate's going to win in Brazil. So our State Department announced we're sending election monitors down to Brazil to monitor their election.
No.
Yes. Now, Brazil, round of applause for Brazil because they've handled this correctly.
Brazil has denied visas to 2 senior State Department officials that the Trump administration planned to dispatch on a mission to cast doubt on the fairness and integrity of the country's electoral system for Brazil's presidential election this fall. Okay.
So we announced that we were sending them down there, and then when our State Department tried to get visas for them, Brazil just said, no, you're not pulling that shit here. So way to go, Brazil. Other countries could have the balls to step. But now this just happened. Trump's probably going to hit them with like 100% tariff or, something. There's no way that they're just going to do this and we're not going to do anything back to them. So get ready, because soon Brazil is going to be something Trump's talking about a lot, because they're trying to cheat. Why wouldn't they let our election monitors in if they weren't trying to cheat? Which that's the whole point of what he's trying to do, is to cast doubt on the accuracy of their elections. And this is going to help him do that in reality. So just get ready. You're going to hear about Brazilian elections a lot coming up. The third thing, and this is going to be a homework assignment for us, but this guy, and I don't remember the guy's name, but he's the former president of the World Bank. Now, I don't know exactly what the World Bank is. I don't want to lie to you. I've heard there's a World Bank, but I don't know what it does. But he's on CNBC with Joe Kernan, and I want you to really pay attention to what he says here, because I want to talk about it afterward.
It's worrisome. The Fed basically has become now just a giant hedge fund. It's lost $1 trillion, and counting. It's going to be a gigantic loss. What it does is borrows money at 5.4% from banks and then dumps it into government bonds. So think what that trade does. That causes the government to think that it's better off than it is. And so that encouraged the government to be short when rates were zero. So why did the government borrow so much in T-bills? Well, because the Fed was buying the bonds and it made it look like yields were going to stay low remember the low for long phrase. So we've got these multiple problems that are going on, and it endangers the dollar. So that's the basic case.
Instead of the Fed having such large balances, wouldn't the private sector be starting businesses and risking capital and bringing returns and adding to growth? Wouldn't all that money be better if it wasn't with the Fed?
That's right. And we're depending on private equity. So as the banks get squeezed out, because they're lending so much to the Fed, it's literally a floating rate loan from banks to the Federal Reserve so it can buy government bonds. So if that were freed up, that would allow the banks to at least consider a small business loan, an inventory loan, the kinds of things that help the economy grow.
Okay. So let me break this down, because after I saw that, I tried to research it, and I got a lot more research to do. But the Fed can't borrow or loan money, period. But the Fed falls under the Treasury Department. The Fed is supposed to be independent, but they're under the Treasury. The Treasury is allowed to borrow money from banks as long as we don't cross our debt ceiling. Our debt ceiling is currently $41.1 trillion. Right now we're at 39.3, so we got about $2 trillion to go before we hit that.
Oh, that's going to be gone before the end of the year, probably.
That's the next fight we're going to have. But so if you remember, during the beginnings of the Iran war, as the stock market was falling, the 10-year and the 30-year T-bills, Treasury bonds, were starting to, nobody was buying them. The rate on it was going higher. Do you remember all that?
Yeah.
And as the rate went higher, that causes the dollar to crash. And then it kept getting bad, and then all of a sudden it get better. It'd be like, oh, people are buying our T-bills again. What's going on here? Well, it it turns out the Fed, or the Treasury, basically, he kept saying the Fed, but it's the Treasury. Scott Bessent runs the Treasury.
Yeah.
They were borrowing money from banks at a 5.4% interest rate to then buy T-bills at a worse interest rate, to where we're losing money as America. We're losing money on this, but it's stabilizing the markets and stabilizing the dollar value. So this has been going on since the beginning of the Iran war. And like, hey, we have to approve a budget every year. So if the Treasury needs more money to buy T-bills, like, how are they allowed to borrow it from banks without getting the Senate or Congress's approval? That doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
So,
That
and
sounds like a horrible investment for the country.
terrible, but it fixes the problem now. It makes the problem later as bad, but like for right now, we're just looking for a solution. Donald Trump's whole presidency generally is like, I'm just trying to get till tomorrow. I'll just say whatever I got to say today to get to tomorrow, and then I'll make something else up. And that's kind of what we're doing with the monetary problem in our country right now. And
Scott Bessent, he like, you look at him talk, and he sounds, he's confident, and he sounds like he knows what he's doing, but the motherfucker doesn't know how to fucking handle money.
he's like a billionaire. I don't know how, but he's at least a multimillionaire.
Wasn't he a CEO of something?
I'm not sure what his background is. I can't remember anymore. But yeah, I mean, he's got money. He's in the cabinet because he's rich. So
Yeah.
probably a hedge fund guy, I would want to say. Anyhow, so and then what he was saying there, I don't know how. I didn't look any of this up. I was more concerned with how is the Fed borrowing money from banks without us knowing about it. But also, he was making the point there that because the banks are having to loan so much money to the government right now, they don't have a lot of money to loan to small businesses and blah blah blah. Like, I don't know how true that is. I'm just listening to him there.
Yeah.
I'm still stuck on the power of the purse goes to Congress. Okay, the House and the Senate have to approve a budget, and then the White House has to operate off this budget.
Yeah.
But the part of the White House can go borrow more money from banks that the U.S. taxpayer has to pay back without going to Congress?
No, that's probably illegal. Probably got one other thing you could tack onto the list of the thousands of other things that are illegal that this administration has done.
Yeah. And that's just putting us further into debt, which they don't seem to care about at all. We're at 39.3 trillion right now. Trump has added 3 trillion to the debt in a year and a half. Cool. We're moving on. So anyhow, that's all I got, buddy.
I got one thing for you. Have you ever heard of Tier 4B?
Say it again.
Tier 4B.
Tier 4B. No, I don't know what that is.
Okay. So, I don't know. Probably close to 10 years ago, my dad told me, he was like, "Oh yeah, I bought these dongs and this another currency," which I love the name dong. The dong is the Vietnamese currency, I believe.
Okay.
Anyway, so he bought these things, and one of his buddies is like in this conspiracy. He told me about it, and he was like, "Yeah, it's gonna increase in wealth by like 500,000% or something crazy."
How much money did your dad put into the dong?
Not a lot. Not a
Okay.
lot. I probed him on that. He didn't put a lot in there, just a few $100.
Okay.
But he's held on to these things for like 15 years. And over this last 10 years, I've heard him talk about this thing like 3 times. And he recently brought it up again. And so I was like, what is this? Okay. So he sent me the email that his buddy sent him, and this is a complete conspiracy theory that like all these countries are going in together and they're going to create a digital currency, and then these currencies are going to be worth, the equivalent of a US dollar. So like maybe he has like 2 million dong or whatever, and it's going to be worth 2 million US dollars because all these it makes no sense.
So,
but I went down just a tiny rabbit hole.
Okay. My brain is hurting. Go ahead.
No, yes, it's crazy, and I keep like, "Dad, this is a conspiracy theory. Like, just don't buy anymore." And he's like, "No, I haven't bought any in 15 years or whatever. I'm just holding on to these."
Okay.
And I don't know. He seems to think, because this is the 4th time that he's brought it up to me, that this whole thing is going to happen. It was supposed to happen on Sunday. But there's definitely podcasts about it, and like listening to these podcasts hurts my brain. But it's just another conspiracy theory out there that's like right along the lines of QAnon.
I'm just curious because right now, No, I did not say song. It's trying to recreate dong or change dong to song. Right now, the Vietnamese dong is down slightly against the U.S. dollar. Let's see here. Okay, so yeah, it's down slightly right now. So the reason I'm looking, because like a lot of the economies over there in the Pacific, Japan for one, like their currency's been crashing since the tariffs, really. Like they haven't been doing well. I would assume if Japan and those other countries are doing bad, Vietnam's probably right there with them. So,
Probably.
A, that would make me think that this plan's not anywhere close to happening. I would think the dong would need to be strong. I can't believe I'm saying that. The dong would need to be strong to pull this off. But also, like, if he's betting on this, then theoretically your dad is betting against the American dollar because there's one's going to be supreme. And your dad is like a pro-Trump, love America kind of guy.
I mentioned that to him, and
I don't
he
think he
seems
thought
to
about
think
that
that it's going to help America too.
by taking over for the dollar. Because I mean, if it's going to
It-
become this powerful,
not taking over, but everybody's going to combine, and it's going to be one digital currency, one world currency. It's
okay.
basically there's a lot of ins and outs, a lot of what
So
have yous.
here's the thing. Donald Trump came in and he was like the crypto president, is what they were saying. Like he was going to do all this stuff for crypto. And in the time since he's been in office, crypto has crashed like big time. Like if you had a lot of
Yeah.
crypto at the beginning of his presidency, it's down right now. By unregulating it, what's weird is everybody said that if you're using crypto, this has been kind of a running joke, but if you're using crypto, it's probably for something illegal. It's something you don't want to be able to be traced. And what we've learned right now is that all these countries, they can trace crypto. Like even like what was the news anchor Savannah Guthrie whose mom got kidnapped? They were wanting the payment to be in crypto. And
Yeah.
like everything I was reading at the time, like we could see the wallet that they wanted it placed in, and we could see when somebody checked it. Like we could see a lot about it. Something tells me they knew probably who was checking that wallet, honestly. Like the idea of crypto was really good when it was totally untraceable, but it's not anymore. Like they know who's doing what with crypto, and now
Yeah.
that's part of the reason that crypto's losing its glamour right now.
You're 100% right. I mean, yeah, because it's
Yeah.
supposed to be a currency that's not traceable,
And suddenly it's traceable.
and nobody
So,
can hack into it and steal it, and that's been proven wrong.
yep.
So I don't know. I mean, it seems like a nice idea.
And I love your dad, and this isn't about your dad, okay? But like every now and then I'll be talking to someone who is a smart person, somebody who I would consider to be a pretty smart dude. And then they'll hit me with something out of left field like that where I have to stop and like reevaluate. Like I think they can see it in the moment where I'm looking at their face and I'm like, "Oh, you're fucking like I thought you were smart, but no." Like and it's I think the Trump years has like brought it to the forefront more than anything. But like even one of our good buddies, who I thought was just had his head on straight kind of guy, that we've talked about 2018 Trump in Helsinki with Putin. But I saw one of our buddies right after that, who's a Republican, and I was like, man, like, what do you think of Helsinki? And he was like, what do you mean? Trump has Putin eaten out of the palm of his hand. He has him just where he wants him. And I was just like,
What?
not even Fox News is saying that. Like, where are you getting this? And like, it keeps happening to me. I have people bringing up the strangest. Even I got into it with a couple people I know about. You remember this was just 4 months ago, but remember like the 12 to 14 scientists that were working on nuclear stuff that all went missing, and remember that whole story?
Yeah.
And I was telling them, I was like, this is an on story. Like a lot of these people weren't even really linked together or to our nuclear. Like they were just trying to make the number seem higher. And like we were getting into it where they were like, no, they were like, I can't believe that you don't see the conspiracy here. And I was like, dude, this is, and now here we are 4 months later. And I'm like, hey, remember that story? Oh yeah, it fell off the radar because it wasn't a fucking story. Anyhow, like we're all really gullible on a lot of shit right now. And it's bothering the hell out of me. Anyhow,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where we are.
Interesting.
anyhow, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have a crazy conspiracy theory, feel free to leave it as a comment. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. Let's talk about tier 4.
Oh,
Tier
God,
4B.
I
Yeah.
need to look that up now. I'm gonna text your dad soon and ask him how the dong's doing. Just see what kind of response I get from him. Anyhow, all right. You have a good night, sir. I'll talk
You
to you
too,
soon.
man. Later.
Later.
Sometimes you eat the bar, sometimes the bar eats you.